Cassandra, we are back again. We're still fireside. I feel like I love a good fireside chat.
It's
Uh,
keeping us warm.
it is keeping us warm on these very cold, boot-filled evenings these days. Let's dive in because I think this might be a pretty in-depth one, and that's
We
because
are going to toot and boot some things.
we are gonna toot probably more boots. It is going to be what was I gonna say? It's just there's a lot going on, and sometimes it's a lot of boots. It's a lot of
Yeah,
boots, but we'll
that's
see.
okay.
Sometimes we find the toot in the boot. So let's see what happens here. Um, we are diving headfirst into all of these HR trends, trendy terms, and we've now got hushed hybrid, the hot career trend, where managers are choosing the employees who have flex work arrangements. What did you think about
Okay.
that? You're like, okay.
Like breathe, Cassandra. Okay, I am tooting the managers.
Mm-hmm.
I am booting the fuck out of Hushed Hybrid because I literally cannot with these stupid like media driven terms referring to just normal ass employee management, people manage employee experience, employee engagement. Like there are already words for these things, people. Okay, so hushed hybrid in this article it refers to managers overruling, dismissing, or choosing not to enforce a company's return to office RTO policies. Okay, so here's where I'm tooting the managers because this is just how things were done pre-pandemic. Managers managed their team.
Yeah.
They knew their people. They knew what was going on at home. They knew how their team worked best. They knew where they were working and what made most sense for their team from an in-person collaboration perspective. They knew what made sense for productivity. So this is once again, this is nothing new. I'm also tooting the fuck out of managers who are bucking nonsense rules and policies. So toot toot.
Yeah, I mean, it was an interesting one for me because I thought, like, yes, we talk about as HR folks empowering our managers because they're the ones who best know their team all the time, you know? So I'm like, okay,
Hmm.
I'm tooting that. I think what I appreciated them kind of talking about the article and I can understand the complexity is then that works as long as managers are treating people fairly,
Yes.
right? And
Huge caveat.
right, which exactly. And that's where I was like, I think it's like the toot within the boot or the boot within the dude. I'm not because of the
Yeah.
fact that like it really it has to be that way. And if one manager does one, you know, the same kind of teams or whatever, one manager does things for people one way, another manager does things for another way, maybe because of training or, you know, lack of awareness around being a people manager or whatever, you get this very inequitable, inconsistent employee experience, which I do not love. Um, and you know, I think like, yeah, I don't love that. And I don't love that managers are probably doing this because their feedback about the policies isn't being listened to or isn't being solicited,
They're
right?
stuck within a system and trying to make it work the best that they can.
Yeah, exactly. And so to me it's like, yeah, it is that like there is a tootiness of it, there is a bootiness of it.
Just
I
like a little toe boot. Just like the toe. Maybe a steel toe.
Oh man, yes. So yeah, I think it's like listen to the people who
Just
are
listen.
doing the work, people who are managing the work.
Right. Institute common sense, flexible policies and enable and empower your managers and also train your managers so that they are making high judgment decisions. I mean, it's a lot of things, but you get it.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, here's another one. I'm really excited for your take on this because okay, wait. So it's leaders don't really care about employee engagement. Here's why. I was like, this is gonna be super interesting. They're gonna but was it?
Okay, so the headline, leaders don't care about employee engagement, is super clickbaity. And so I was expecting it to be actually pretty like vacuous and the content to be not there, but I thought they actually had a pretty decent pulse on some important things.
Okay.
Um, that's what I found. So on a couple of key areas. And so yes, leaders do not care about employee engagement and have not. If they have seen the like dramatic numbers, 30% of workers are engaged at the office, and it has been that way for about the past decade, and yet we continue to defund employee programs. Um, and we continue to survey our people once a year, maybe twice a year, and then take 6 months to get back to them with such watered down results and zero action items that it's completely meaningless. Yes, that is happening. I think that they point to the article points to we should be focusing on well-being instead as the thing that will improve workplaces. And I agree, burnout is at an all-time high. They cite 77%. I've seen it north of that. I've seen it slightly south of that, but 77% sounds like a decent place to land right now. 20 another stat they cited was 20% of Americans think about quitting every day.
And you're like, only 20%?
Only 20? Yeah. Uh, I think what I got out of this was like how it was almost like an instruction manual for leaders who are incapable of human emotion because one of the key points was that how people feel about their job matters, and that feels very obvious to me, but maybe it's revolutionary and we should share these ideas with these CEOs because that is true. Like happy chickens lay tastier eggs. Food made with love tastes better, and employees who don't dread their jobs make better shit. Like that is the basis for employee experience work. Um, my one of the biggest qualms I have with this article is that it pits employee engagement against well-being, and they are inextricably linked.
Yes.
Employees who have a higher sense of well-being are more engaged. We're not doing one or the other. They like
Yes.
increase well-being, increases engagement. Again, happy chickens lay better eggs. I think where I think that the article could have gone further or done a better job of maybe explaining things is talking about the links between the different aspects of employee engagement because they had me at the clickbait like leaders don't care about employee engagement and here's why. Like they could have done more with that. So
Yeah.
I'm a toot on some of it and a boot on other parts of it.
It's, I think, see, this is the hardest thing about tutor boot sometimes because you're like, there's an element I want to toot, but then, ooh, yeah, I think the same thing came out to me about the it seemed like they were trying to completely separate employee engagement from employee well-being as though they are different things, as though they have completely different solutions. They kind of throw in belonging in there, like that's completely different from each of the, all of that. And I was like, okay, I was kind of on board with this, like leaders don't really care about employee engagement. I wanted to hear more about that because I think in some ways that is true, especially when you even if like within an organization itself you have senior leadership who really does care, a lot of times then they go into their boards, their investors, they don't care, right? So
Right.
I think there is an element of that that is very, very valid. But then none of the rest of that in terms of like, oh well, engagement is trash, it's about well-being. It's like, no, no.
Yeah.
those aren't completely different elements. So yeah, I think that was for me where it kind of fell apart. And I also think like they mentioned something there. Oh, okay. So it says meeting workers' social needs for friendship, connection, and feeling appreciated is what truly elevates well-being. And I was like, I don't know, I feel like a lot of people are cool with not meeting those needs within the workplace. Like not everybody needs, you want to get along well enough with your coworkers and not have it be a bad experience, right? But like is that where I need my friendship and connection needs met? Like, I don't know.
Not not necessarily. I think I think it probably depends a lot on where you are in your career. Early
Yeah,
career talent, they're getting a lot of their friendship connection from people at work. People
absolutely.
who are a little more seasoned, a little more spend a little bit more time in the decanter that is a job. We don't necessarily need so much of that connection drawn from our peers. And we instead, connection points that you're looking for are connection to the work you're doing, or the connection to the organization's mission, or connection to leaders and managers. How
Yeah.
are they connecting with you on a human level?
Yeah.
So, yeah, like connection is important, but it's not just how are you helping your employees socialize with each other?
Right. And I think that's for me where it was all very jumbled together in
Yeah.
terms of like all the different concepts. And there was no thing that clearly said like, okay, well, yeah, you should action well-being instead of engagement. It was like, what is the solution you're actually proposing here? I didn't really understand it. And some of it, to your point, is, if people better communicated what they did off the back of the engagement surveys and the actual actions they took and
Yeah.
all the things like that, then yeah, this person probably would say like employee engagement was the thing, right? Like it's not just about getting the result, doing the survey, getting the results. It's all of the other things you have to do, which is the same for well-being. It's the same for any program that you would try to implement to
Yeah.
better engage with employees. So, yeah, I'm like, I guess we're tooting the, calling out part of it, but booting the mix of,
General jumbled nature of it all.
yes, exactly. All right. And then we'll go into another possible jumble here. We're just rolling from one trendy term to another. We're resurrecting the Great Resignation. It is now the Great Resignation 2.0,
2.0.
which could be on the horizon. What did you think about this one?
Okay, so Great Resignation 2.0. It's a
Or like
cycle,
we can't bother to think of new terms for some of these things.
right? Like, but the big quit, or
Oh, the big quit. Okay, I love that.
yeah, let's just yeah. But it's a cycle, and we have I have very much been expecting this pendulum to swing back, and I, for one, am here for it. Um, I 100% will toot the employees who vote with their feet and leave a job that no longer serves them, their goals, their mental or physical well-being. Like, quit. There is probably someone else out there who is looking for exactly what you have to offer, and they pay better too. So, like, employers, companies should be aware of the fact that their time at the top is limited. The pendulum will swing the other way eventually, and the ways that they have cut back, scaled back on employee benefits, perks, the way that they have treated employees and candidates throughout the hiring process and the firing process, and the way that they have scaled back on the humanity, is going to come back and bite y'all in the asses. Just saying. Um, I will say that the one thing I really zoned in on the article for some reason is they claimed that 80% of the people who left their jobs in during the Great Resignation 1.0 uh regretted it, that they regretted that decision. Okay. So I called bullshit, because 47 million people quit their jobs between 2020 and 2022. Like 47 million people. So I looked into the survey that they cited, and the survey the sample size of the survey was 825 people. That is 0.00001% of the entire possible sample size. So, no, I don't believe that 80% of people who quit their jobs, 80% of 47 million, regret doing so. I definitely believe that when you leave a role for something else, there is an element of, oh, the grass is not always greener on the other side.
Yeah.
That is true. However, the nature of people just entirely switching industries or doubling their salaries that has like life altering impacts on what they can do for themselves and their family, like that's worth it to people. I
Yeah.
don't, I do not for 1 second believe that the majority of people who left their roles think, oh, I should go back to that role that was incredibly toxic, that I found incredibly toxic, because I want more of that again.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with what you said at the beginning of this is just the pendulum. This is a natural thing that happens when it's, more in favor of employers versus employees. I don't think I feel like when folks talk about when, they do these kind of clickbaity things or, put out these terms, that it's trying to, I don't know, like blame employees in a way for things. And it's like ultimately when the market isn't favorable, people will stay in their jobs a bit longer than they might want to, or they're not, as actively looking because they understand what the job market is. When the job market becomes more favorable, they're like, okay, cool, I'm good. This
I
is
got options.
take a move. Yeah, I mean, and like that's the market. There's nothing, particularly like interesting or, there's no magical factors happening. Like that's just kind of a normal thing that happens when the job market is favorable or less favorable to employees. So it's like, okay, maybe 3 in 10 workers are planning to quit. Then maybe that's because they think the market is getting better or, like no real yeah, I don't know. I think I just don't like it when it's like played up to be some kind of like sinister thing that employees are doing when they're just, living their lives and trying to do
Right.
what's best for them.
You hit the nail on the head, Stacey. Like what I've been saying is that these terms ultimately are like based on a foundation of employees are the boogeyman. And
Yeah,
it feels like there's this undercurrent of disdain,
yeah,
disgust for employees, no matter what they do,
yeah,
and not enough recognition that the people who do the work for your company are the ones who ultimately deliver value. Like if everybody decided to quit tomorrow, is your product going to continue making money for you? Are you like you have no one to deliver services? Are you still going to be able to make money? And I don't think that that is taken into enough account. And it really bothers me when we continue to see employees as like the the face of evil.
yeah,
Because we're not. Just I want to provide services, I want to provide my expertise and my time, and I want to be paid for it. I also don't want to be treated like shit. Like that's really as simple as it is.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And there's one more I'm going to sneak in, and if there isn't quite enough time in the LinkedIn recording, this will be a bonus episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tutor boot bonus.
Really good bonus. Okay, this one here. Again super curious what you thought about this one. Three ways to know the difference between employee nesting. We've got another kind of weird and
Mhm.
gross term, and company loyalty. Did the employee nesting thing kind of like give you the creeps?
Yes. Yes, it did. Because are we birds? Are
Give
we
me the
mothers
heebie-jeebies.
preparing for a baby to come in? Because that's the nesting that I most recently have encountered.
So weird. Like again, just so weird.
Like, yes, are these folks bored? Yet another employee boogeyman.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you literally have nothing better to do, Forbes, than to publish yet another article that is based on just a stack of bullshit? So I think starting at the top, Stacey.
Rewind. Start from the
Let's rewind. Um, they never the author never defines employee nesting or
Yeah.
company loyalty.
Yes. Yes.
They don't define it. What they do is they interview a chief people officer, and what she says is nesting employees are content where they are, embracing their current pay, responsibilities, and the stability of their organization. So they're meeting expectations, they're not underperforming, they're just not trying to climb the corporate ladder.
Great.
Like
Love that.
you were describing a solid employee.
Yeah. I mean, that's
What
right.
is the matter with a solid employee?
I know, right? And they try to make it something weird and bad. And you're like,
Yes.
this just seems cool. Like this,
Stop pathologizing every freaking employee.
yeah, what's the problem? And also it's like, okay, we're not, uh, not everybody is always in a growth phase of their career,
Yes.
always trying to do it, right? Like, that's fine. That's
That
cool.
is fine. It
Let them
also felt
be.
like as they were writing or interviewing, I'm not sure what the like how this whole thing came about, but it feels like as they were talking with the person they were interviewing, they were discovering in real time that not everyone has the same goals for their career. And in real time decided, wait, that's a bad thing. Like
Right.
not every expecting everyone to be a rock star ninja rocket ship emoji employee. That's not realistic.
Uh-huh. Yes.
It's giving talent density levels of cringe.
Oh, the talent density. I love you for throwing that in. That is absolutely hilarious. But yeah, no, I mean, yes, I think it doesn't acknowledge that like that is a perfectly great and fine place to be. They're
Yes.
trying to like place that against loyalty somehow. And it's like, how is that? What is the problem? How is that disloyal? And also, is loyalty a thing we're aiming for? Like, is that a thing that we're needing or demanding from employees? Have we earned that? Like, it's just a very weird thing to me. Yeah, I didn't like
It's like they were in
I just
search of a
shivered.
problem and had no solution.
Yeah.
Because so I remember, all right, so my parents, the boomer generation, like my dad did stay in a job for 30 years and then retired and went back as a contractor. Like, sure, we call that company loyalty. And I remember when millennials hit the scene, especially millennials, we were criticized for job hopping. So job hopping is bad.
Yes.
Now, staying in a role is bad.
Just happily doing your job and doing it well. Not
Just
good enough.
no, not good enough. You need the rocket ship emoji next to your name in order to be good. Like, what is the right way to do work, Stacey?
Yeah, I think exactly that. I think that is the thing too. When I read this, when I was like, I don't understand what you want from people. Like, what do you want from employees? What is good enough? Because it seems like, oh, you're too long at a job, you're too short at a job, you're not,
Hmm.
you're not motivated enough, you're not this, you're not, and it's like, let's just let people live. Like, let them just do their jobs, do their work. Sorry, there's a kitten
Hi.
appearance. But yeah, it's it's making it impossible for with all of these different trends, with all of these different, expectations for employees to like be okay, be good employees. Like it's an expectation that can just not ever be met, it seems like.
Exactly. And I, I, I think that this was the one that I had the most trouble with
Mm,
because it feels like it encapsulates so much of what's wrong with the way that we build and manage teams
yeah.
today. The thought processes behind what goes into again these these bullshit terms. Nesting is just it feels like the new quiet quitting. Um, the
Yeah.
way that we the way that we pathologize employees, the way that we penalize people for doing what's right for their family, for their career, whether that be job hopping or stay staying in
Yeah.
a role they're doing quite well at.
Oh, goodness.
there's there's no good way to be a worker today is what I have come away with from that article. Oh, by the way, obviously that's a boot.
Yes. Okay, great. I was gonna say, I'm like, just to be clear, we're booting it all the way.
Booting it. Yes.
Um, yeah. Ugh. Yeah, I'm glad we got to this one because it's one I've been sitting on for a while and I think you're the first person who has wanted to really talk to me about it. And I'm like, great, because this one really gave me the heebie-jeebies. Like, I felt so weird about it. So I'm glad to know I'm not the only one who just came away perplexed and like, what are we doing here? What are we trying to do?
Right.
Or not we, because we're not trying to do this. We booted it.
I am absolutely not doing anything having to do with it.
All right. Well, I thank you so much. By the way, also, I love that you were like, and I went and did this survey and calculated the data, and this is like 0.00000. That is what you are so amazing at. And I am so glad you were able to join me for another Tutor Boot.
Thank you. The Tutor Boot is the HR Super Bowl, so I am so honored to have been picked. I was like, I better do a good job.
You are a #1 draft pick. Come on now.
Thank you. Thanks, Stacy.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Toot or Boot. You can keep in touch with me, Stacy, on LinkedIn, and be sure to subscribe to our newsletter at tootorboot.com. And if you're enjoying Toot or Boot, we'd appreciate your positive review on your favorite podcast platform.